I have decided that cyclists must go. Now, apologies to any of those of you who are cyclists. This is going to be obviously a bit of a...
This is the anti-cyclist manifesto.
Bit of a blow for you, I understand. No, this has to happen. I mean, we've even got cyclists in the office. Bossman Carl is a cyclist, and it was sort of all right when we had one of them, but then Harry started cycling and Pete started cycling, so it's spreading. And I'm just concerned that obviously it could get to me at some point.
I owned a bike at one point, so I was young actually. So
well, when you're young, that's fine.
Okay,
it's perfectly sensible when you're a kid. But,
sort of like your punk phase or something.
Yes, but then you sort of move past that. But obviously, it's quite terrifying if this were to spread because it takes me an hour and a half to get here in the Beamer. If I had to do it on a bike, it would be absolutely exhausting. I'd have to set out the following night. Right, before we get into that, just as a reminder, we have been demonetized by YouTube for... did they give us a reason?
No.
Right, well, we've been demonetized for no reason whatsoever. Presumably they don't like something about what we're about, even though we've committed no rule breach whatsoever. So I do urge you to come and watch us on lotuseaters.com. You can watch the podcast for free there, and if you wanted to, you can pay £5 a month to support us, and you also get access to content such as this that went up very recently, which is Are Video Games Bad For You? A discussion on that. Hopefully not, because I tend to play them while I'm listening to podcast content and stuff, so... we'll see what the conclusions they came out of that one with. Right, so, cyclists. Why do we feel the need to have to talk about cyclists? Well, it's largely because of the efforts of one man, Jeremy Vine. Let's see. I mean, he puts his stuff out all the time, but let's see where this sort of conversation really picked up steam. Let's go to this. Every morning, this guy basically cycles to work with cameras all over himself, so that he can pick up on any infraction.
That man needs to get in a fight or something, just so his life isn't so boring that he's doing this.
Every single morning, that guy, he clips on his cycling gear, he puts on his helmet, and he starts, because he's got cameras all around him. He's got a camera basically hovering above him. He's got cameras on the front, he's got cameras on the back, he's got body cams and all that kind of stuff, and he cycles to work as fast as he can in order to get these reactions. Anyway, this guy's got a bit of a platform because he is a presenter on the BBC who get several $1 billion a year, because in the UK, you won't believe this, we have to have a licence to own a TV. Which is extraordinary, and all of that money basically goes, apart from 4% of it, all goes to the BBC and pays huge wages of guys like this so that they get a big platform. Anyway, so he has been pushing this message. So he basically thinks that, and this is one example of many. So when we sort of saw that bus was, so there you go. So that bus started to turn from bloody there. That's where he was when the bus started to turn, and because of this...
How could the bus do this?
Yes. And bear in mind that the momentum on that bus, whatever it weighs, 20
Whereas
tons
bike,
or something like that.
A bike is literally impossible to stop. I think they don't have brakes. I think it's illegal to have brakes on a bike. There's no way you could slow down and just wait for the bus to go, and then not be a prat.
And the way the way the Twitter algorithm works, we have all been subjected to this story and this man. And I used to be fairly neutral on the whole cyclist issue, because I used to think, it's just people getting to work or something like that. I mean, it's not the sort of thing that you have a strong feeling about. But because he's been pushing so many of these out, I've come to the conclusion that it's time to get radical with these people. I did like one of the responses to this. Sarah, she said under this, I'm a former bus driver. Once the bus is in a turn, it's very difficult to stop without causing risk to passengers. It seems from your video that the bus was already turning before you got close. It had to complete the manoeuvre. And Vine's response to that was, he has to wait. That's all there is to it. So buses, if they even see a cyclist 40 metres down the road, they have to stop.
I hate everything about this, because I hate people who talk about traffic and bad drivers anyway. Just people who'll sit there and tell you about driving and how this man's done the driving bad and this man's done the driving good. Yes. And when they're driving, won't shut up about other people who are driving. You're just like, shut up and drive.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
It is all... as one chap highlighted in the response, in fact, let's go to the highway code to see what the highway code says, because this is the big thing that cyclists always go on about. They always refer to this. They sit and they read this at home so that they can spout it at people. But actually, Mr. Vine has missed something here. Let's go down to Rule 223, which basically says, you get into this arms race now.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean about I hate the whole conversation, because it's just like,
and I don't want to be that guy who has to go and read the bloody highway code. But look at that. Basically, buses get priority because they're big and heavy, and it takes them longer. Yeah.
Stay out of the way. You might get crushed.
Yes.
That doesn't matter if you're on a bike or a car. Just stay the hell out of the way of the big thing.
Right. Now, in case you're not sold on how awful Jemmy Vine is, right, let's go to the next one. Let's go to his taxi one. Right, so here he is. He's hidden behind that van. Taxi pulls out. Well,
I love how he zooms the camera in as well to make it look like the taxi's closer than it is every time.
That bus was perfectly reasonable. That taxi, let's play it again. Let's play it again, because, he was hiding him. Look, he's hidden behind a damn van. If he was following the van, he would have been seen. But no, taxi can't see him. Taxi starts to pull out, as is reasonable. Yeah.
But this is the thing. I don't even like getting into the who was in the right in this circumstance stuff, because the whole thing is just get a life.
Yeah, or just slow down slightly. Just deal with it.
This is what I hate about his account. Like, the whole thing is predicated on those people who would just endlessly argue about who was in the right in some traffic situation. One of the things that really, really enlightened me to how little this matters is being in Russia and being in Afghanistan and seeing the traffic conditions there. The best moment so in Russia was the best one because, like, there's no laws. Just go to hell.
Yeah.
Good luck. And in Afghanistan, not only is there no laws, everyone's car is completely scuffed. So it just doesn't matter if you bump each other either. Like, I got in this taxi and pull up the door, right? And the door against the curb. I look at the taxi driver, he just looks at me. I'm like, oh crap, must be mad. Sit down, oh crap, it's stuck. Like, its bottom is just wedged against the curb. So I have to really pull it, and it scrapes and make a huge noise as I close the door. And you look at the taxi driver, if you'd done that in every other country, they'd be like, what's wrong with you? You scraped up my car. And he just goes, oh, finally. And then drives off. Are you just...
Exactly the same in Delhi. I mean... you would believe the driving in Delhi. People just go the wrong way around roundabouts. I mean, everything. I mean, just there are literally no. Well, I suppose there are rules, but nobody follows them. Right.
But then you just look at Western debates and you just say, get a life.
Oh,
it's
tragic.
Get a fight or something.
Right. So if you think the two that I've shown you so far are potentially debatable about who's in the wrong, let's watch this one.
Cyclist flips off motorists, hits curb.
So you didn't see that the cyclist decides he takes umbrage to one of the drivers. Here we go.
Back off.
Oh no! How could this happen to me?
So that's awful.
I made my mistakes.
Yeah. So I don't know if flipping off drivers is on the highway code or not, but but anyway, Vine is on the side of the cyclist in that one as well. Now I agree, it was a bit rude of the driver to use the horn, but that's enough. So that's the debate
The purpose of using a horn is to say I'm there.
Yes,
nothing else.
Yes, fair point. Watch out.
This is another thing I hate road rage. Like, road rage is ridiculous to me. People are like, oh my god, he beeped a horn. It's like he's literally just saying he's there.
Yeah.
It's not F you. That's not what that means.
Yeah.
But whatever.
So this is the debate we've been having in this country for the last week, driven by this. So here's another one. Let's go to the next one. This is this is from Ryan. So let's click into this one and give this one a look. So this is somebody cycling along, and I think this is it looks like a Polish man, judging from the.
Jesus! What the fuck?
Now, to be fair, this is basically just a van driving past a cyclist who himself is driving, cycling past a cycle lane without using it.
What the fuck?
Sorry, there's a cycle lane right there and he's not using it.
Yes.
Why?
But because he's a cyclist.
I want to die.
The rules. They bend him, and this is the problem I have with this whole cycling thing.
I urge for death.
Yeah, it's like they sort of want to be martyred or something like that. They can say, well, I'm technically allowed to ride on the road and ignore the cycle lane and the rest of it. But if you do manage to get yourself killed on the road, well, congratulations.
You've seen those memes?
You were right.
Like,
yes.
car driver is a bit reckless, and then cyclist driver, and it just plays like the Japanese theme of Kamikaze, like the song they would sing before they went and crashed into American ships. That's how I view that. If there's a cycle lane, you're not using it. It's just like, why? You're just increasing your chances of death for what?
Yes, I mean, I get this near where I live because I live in it's not a village and it's not a town. It's sort of halfway in between, and there's some lovely countryside sort of all around it. And every weekend, the cyclists are all off going around these little country lanes and stuff like that. And presumably they love it. I mean, they wear all the sort of fetish gear as well. The stuff that they do. And the thing is, the problem is,
that's a real fetish.
Yeah, and near where I live, like you drive. Literally, you drive for like 5 minutes and you'll see literally a memorial to a cyclist. So there'll be a whole bunch of flowers by a tree or something like that. And then you'll drive another 5 minutes up the road and there'll be another whole bunch of flowers by the road. And they're like a photo of somebody in their cycling gear or something like that. And you drive another 5 and there'll be another thing, So there's all these cyclists that have been wiped out riding around these sort of country lanes. Now, I'm sure cycling in Britain in the 1950s around country lanes must have been, jolly good. Jolly gay day on for a Sunday or something.
See the
like
cycling lane there.
Yes, exactly. But I don't get it. Why do people want to do this risky habit when we've got this level of congestion, we've got this level of cars on the road, we've got this level of population, and they're just sort of their sheer insistence of doing this and ignoring cycle lanes, stuff like that. Right, next one. This one. That infuriates me. Let's click into this one, right? So this council, I think this is could be Hove or Brighton or something like that. Anyway, they've decided that they're going to turn all of their paths into cycle lanes. So this guy's whizzing past this family, and they've got a small child with them.
This is a shared use path.
Yeah.
What?
So it causes...
And he's getting called out for cycling at people far too fast. Now, on this one... you've got all of these cyclists in the comments below who are saying, you're out of order for doing this. You can't just be cycling at people at speed. These people, I think, are absolutely right.
He's swearing. It's a shared use path. Look, there's a sign there.
Oh, look, he's got a sign on his side, so you see.
No, I didn't. I slowed right down.
No, you didn't.
So now you've sworn at me again. We're in the playground, are we?
Yeah, all right, okay, we can get over that one. Right, so, but I mean,
this is exactly what I was talking about. Normally he's arguing about traffic or whatever. I just don't want to...
Well, I mean, this one does irritate me.
But you can see, it's obviously caused by the nonsense. Of what if we just turn all the paths into cycling lanes?
Yeah, because,
normally they're going to bicker about it endlessly.
Whatever council decided, but they want to be pro-cycling, so they're just going to turn all the walkways into cycling paths.
Because that's the thing. If you actually want to do cycling, there's maps for this. You look at the Netherlands. If you actually want to build a cycling place, there is a roadmap for doing that, and it's not the weirdness that the British authorities always do.
No,
let's
spend no money and just basically trample all over pedestrians. And the thing is, I've got young kids. I've got a 3-year-old. Kids are really unpredictable. They will often just swerve to the right or the left or jump to the right or the left for no particular reason. And if you're cycling past them at 15 miles an hour, you could wipe them out. And in that case, well, in this particular case, if you ran over my kid, I'm sorry, you're going in the sea and you're going to have to extract that bloody bike from... Well, anyway. Next one. So anyway, Vine came down the side of the cyclist for this guy as well.
Really? Did he?
Yes. So he there, right. Here's another one from Vine. Let's go into this. We get this all the time.
Whoa! What the hell?
Get a life. Just get a life. I don't care who's on the right. Just get a life.
He maintains full speed so that he can then brake at the very last second and start swearing at them.
But I'm sorry, it's again, I couldn't give a toss about who's on the right there, because I see that and I just think pathetic middle-aged man gets a job or something.
Well, he has got a job. He's on the BBC getting paid 400 grand a year or whatever he gets paid.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a job, so he needs to get a job.
Yes.
Because, no one who has a job has time to sit around covered in cameras whining about how a car turned in front of them whilst they was...
And the thing is, even if he is technically in the right, I mean, you've got to be aware. Let's kill the sound on that one, but... even if he is technically correct, I mean, you've got to remember when I was a kid and cycling a lot more, cars were different back then because you've got these tinny little dividers around your car. Basically there's so much more visibility. If your car went upside down, you'd definitely be decapitated, so it had its downsides. But these days you've got all these roll bars and you've got these big beams, and in a modern car, your blind spots are absolutely massive. because they've got all these, these heavy clunking beams all over the place. So I mean, he is kind of, he's in blind spot territory there, isn't he? So, but he won't slow down. Right. Anyway, what's the next one we've got? Oh yeah. So this is a good one. So let's click into this one because this is very interesting. So, guy cycling on a tram line. Right. Vine shared that one, and Vine couldn't bring himself to come down on the cyclist side for this one, but instead his take was, if this guy was a driver, it would have been even worse. So basically, this guy is bad, and therefore he must, it would have been even worse if he was a driver. Yes, that's what cycling does to your brain. Should we go to the next one? So earlier we saw about how cyclists were not using cycling lanes or not using the road. So this bit is a council who decided, okay, what they're going to do is they're going to put up barriers to keep out cars. They're going to keep out scooters, motorbikes, all that kind of thing, so that pedestrians and cyclists can have their own area. And because this guy couldn't get into it without having to get off his bike and
Pick it up. It literally
lift it
weighs
over,
like a kilogram. Looking at it,
yes. He would have had to lift
Isn't that it's like a little clown bike.
Yes.
You'd sit in the little wheels, your clown feet. It's tiny.
because he would have had to have got off about a second and carry his bike through by twisting the front slightly or lifting it up slightly. Instead, he decided that this needed to.
Seriously, how tall is that thing? Sorry, I'm hanging on it, but I'm looking at it now, just thinking, is that actually for a 6-year-old or something?
I don't know. I'm not really getting the sense of scale. It is pretty tiny. It looks like it, but yeah. So
It's like 60 centimeters tall.
Even when you give the cyclists everything they want, if they have to slow down or get off their bike at any point, then they're enraged by it. And again, Vine was sharing this around, right? And okay, and this is where it gets really bad. So the next one. So this is a chap on. If nothing turns you against cyclists, if nothing makes you agree with me, but they have to go, it's going to be this one. So this is a guy in London. He basically spends his entire day going around filming drivers, trying to find somebody using their phone so he can get them prosecuted.
Yep.
So here he is saying that there's a really good cycle lane there.
Who is worse, him or a mall cop who thinks he has the right to shoot people?
Well, the thing is, the mall cop is probably not going to shoot that many people, is he?
But at least he's also a mall cop. Like, this guy's not
Yes.
anything.
Yes.
It's just annoying.
Yeah. So he's not using the cycle lane that he admits because he's spending his time going around cycling next to stopped traffic, because sometimes when people stop, they might touch their phone, like maybe they're using them as a sat nav or something, and they update their route preferences, or maybe they click on a message or something, or maybe they're an Uber driver. I mean, all Uber drivers, they've all got phones, or
I
attached
don't know
up.
about you. I basically can't drive without sat nav.
Yes.
I don't know how much of a Zoomer problem this is. I genuinely don't know where to go.
When I was your age, I used to have to get the map out in advance and basically write down on a piece of paper, you take this road and you take this junction and this kind of stuff. And
I remember having to do that when I was very young for my parents, and I never wanted to live that life.
I haven't done that for so long because of sat nav that I wouldn't know really what to do now.
But like, you grow up playing GTA and whatnot, and that just has an inbuilt sat nav.
Yes.
Like, the idea of not having one.
Yeah.
I have to pull over.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, quite. And let's go on to this guy's profile, which I think is the next tab. And I mean, look at this. He's reported 1,000 drivers for 800 successful prosecutions in the last 5 years. And in 2022, I mean, he obviously went full time on this. He was getting at least one driver a day.
God, I wish we could do this, but to get rid of illegal immigrants.
So, these are going to be people who basically, van drivers, taxi drivers, people making a living. And he's best friends with Jeremy Vine. He's managed to get 800 people prosecuted because when they touched their phone in some manner when they stopped at
Don't you want to
traffic.
bet he's the most interesting man in the world, though?
I'm
Like,
sure.
when you
I'm
talk
sure.
to him,
I'm sure he's absolutely charming
he's got
and lovely.
amazing stories
Yes.
about the things he's done with his life. I mean, endless
Yes.
anecdotes, witty, out of this world things that not many people get to experience. It's not. He's a completely boring arsehole who'll just endlessly talk about the EU and cycling.
I can't help noticing, but John has picked up on the fact he's got. Is that an EU flag or something?
Yeah,
Or
that's
is
his background there.
Yeah. So anyway,
I just can't think of anyone worse to be stuck talking to. He's going to endlessly talk about the highway code, as you say.
yes.
And you're just going to look at him and be like...
Or the prosecutions that he got, the amount of small businessmen who now, their kids are going to go hungry and they're not going to get any Christmas presents because he managed to get them banned from
it's your friend's wife's birthday and you've got invited and he's next to you on the table. I mean, you just don't want to be...
I mean, obviously, I would, if I knew this guy personally, I would definitely invite him to my next birthday party because I'm sure he'd be fun for exactly those reasons. But anyway, so for all of this, that's why cyclists have to go. I think what we need to do is I don't know if you heard, but apparently they're going to be putting... they're going to be taking immigrants out of hotels and putting them on disused ferries. I think we need those ferries.
We need
those ferries. We need to put the cyclists on there. We can come back for the immigrants at a later time, but this is a more pressing problem. So, yeah, sorry, cyclists, you have to go.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the premium podcast, this one on why American society is collapsing. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.